Welcome everyone to another round of 5 Question Friday. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we have the honor of having one of our wonderful clients, Mark Rosenberg from law firm Rosenberg Law. Mark is a managing and founding partner of Rosenberg Law. He was formerly with Mammoth and Rosenberg. Rosenberg Law continues to provide the highest quality legal services to the clients in the state and federal courts, primarily Pennsylvania and New Jersey, but all over the United States as well. He's dedicated himself to representation of profoundly injured victims. His practice involves complex cases arising out of motor vehicle accidents, premises and products liability, medical malpractice, and construction site negligence. He's an active litigator and has gained substantial compensation for his clients, including many awards in excess of $1 million. Mark has been awarded various legal distinctions, including being selected consistently as a super lawyer from 2012 to present. Now, for those who may not be aware, that honor is awarded only to the top 5% of attorneys. And he's done that because he's achieved the highest peer review rating that's available as determined by the confidential opinions of lawyers and members of the judiciary. Mark is a trial lawyer and is frequently a guest lecturer at neighboring universities and the Pennsylvania Bar Institute, the Philadelphia Trial Lawyers Association, and the Pennsylvania Association of Justice, as well as other bar organizations. Mark, it is an absolute pleasure, as always, to be speaking with you, and thank you so much for being on 5 Question Friday.
Joe, I appreciate the invitation. Always a pleasure here.
Great, thank you. So we're going to launch right in. We have 5 questions lined up for you, and we're going to start with the first. With, obviously, Mark, you have a ton of clients. So what would you say is your client's biggest challenge, frustration, or obstacle, and how did you help them to overcome that?
Joe, it's a good question. So I'm a personal injury trial lawyer, and what I'm dealing with are clients that have been profoundly injured due to the negligence of someone else who are emotionally traumatized and physically traumatized by the event. There's many cases that play out differently, but my client has to be introduced to the legal system, which everybody has their own sense of, and is a complicated place. It's a different language. It's a different set of values. It's a completely different presentation. And I know this is shocking, but lawyers can be harsh, particularly opposing attorneys can be harsh. So I have to manage my clients' physical and emotional issues, and I have to do it in the context of an environment which is completely new to them. And I have to do it where there is an environment of piranhas, that is defense counsel whose job is to hurt their case. And I have to do that in a way that's seamless, that's satisfying and not too intimidating to the client, and do so all in a way that paints the client's case in the light most favorable to them. Because what I'm concerned about is maximizing their recovery, because their injuries are severe and their impact on their lives have been so severe. So I'm a movie director, I'm an editor, I'm a psychologist, I'm an interpreter, and I have to do that in a way to make my client feel as comfortable as possible, while at the same time not losing sight of maximizing the recovery in the case. And so that is a delicate balance, which my 36 years of experience have helped me manage, but it's challenging nevertheless.
Mark, when you said 36, I thought you were going to say your age, which would clearly be what I thought it was. But that's amazing. And, you know, it's funny, you mentioned all those points at the end there. As you were saying what you were saying, it made me think instantly, man, how many hats you must have to wear through this process. Not, as you said, being not only a counselor, you know, a psychological as well as legal, but also, you know, you're their advocate, you're the protector, you're their guardian, but also it's amazing. And again, thank you for that, because it gives me a lot of awareness that I wasn't necessarily really thinking about when you enter into that world, because frankly, and I guess thankfully, I don't enter it often or at all happen at this point. So yes, but I'm always fortunate, of course, that I have a resource, you know, a trusted resource that I know I can go to. God forbid that something like that were to happen. But
don't need my services, but if you do, I'm here.
That's right. Thank you so much. It sounds like you deal with unexpected things that I'm sure that pop up in, you know, the courtroom and et cetera. But can you tell me about a time that something unexpected happened in your business, and how did you handle that?
Well, in my business, so I try a lot of cases, and a trial is a detailed dance, and oftentimes crazy things happen. I had a products liability case where my client was severely injured when a car fell on him because the jack upon which the car was raised malfunctioned. The car fell off and crushed my client. About 2 weeks or 3 weeks before trial, our expert vanished. And so
Wow.
now I was stuck, and our expert would have been a mechanical engineer to explain why the product failed. So my business, I love my business because it's varied, it's exciting, it's never the same, and there's a lot of stuff you have to do on your feet. So in that particular case, we had to find another expert shortly before trial commenced. We had to get that expert on board. We had to survive the defendant's motions to dismiss that expert because it was a new expert that they were unaware of, and there was complicated issues that could have resulted in appellate issues. But fortunately, it all went well. We went to trial and we secured a significant result. But that kind of variability is part of what makes my job challenging and part of what I love so much about it. But it's the kind of stimulus that makes a lot of attorneys pull their hair out of their head, because it is so varied, and it's an all or nothing thing. Had my witness, my expert, not been allowed to testify, my client would not have had a case. And my client was severely injured when the Jeep crushed his pelvis, among some other things. So it's a lot of thinking and reacting on the fly, which frankly suits my personality.
You're absolutely, Mark. I've never seen you dance, but I could imagine you would probably kill the dance for a nice tango or maybe a waltz. I just have that image for some reason. But with that type of variability and, obviously excitement there, I imagine that you have to have a decent structure to make sure that obviously things work, things get accomplished the way they need to. So let me ask you, what productivity tools do you find are indispensable for your work?
I got to tell you that the most indispensable tool is my team. I have an amazing team. Kim, who is my legal assistant that handles the litigation part of my practice, has been with me for 32 or 33 years. Don't tell her, because she's so much younger than that in appearance. Ed Carr, who is my pre-litigation paralegal, has about 35 years of experience doing this. Kristen, who is new to our team, who's been on board for about 6 months, she's younger than most of the people that have been practicing with me are, but she's dedicated and focused, and they are absolutely my bread and butter. We go to war daily. We're in the trenches daily. They help me look amazing doing things. I couldn't do it without them. So I think that having a solid, productive, impassioned team is everything, and they make my job so much easier. And there's a inertia, there is a wave that forms because everybody is so dedicated, so hardworking, and it makes the work environment a pleasure. And lucky are those that get to do what they love to do, and I'm one of those guys.
That is, that's an awesome answer. That's an excellent answer. And in my head, it gives me that visual of being, going, like you said, going to war, right? You sitting on that horse in the back, commanding the troops, and someone's coming up with that, that sharpening that sword, and that's one person, and someone's giving the game, strategy, and that's another person giving intelligence, and you're right there, and you're successful in that battle for your client because you have the right army, the right team, as you said, around you, providing you all the right tools, resources, information that you need to accomplish that victory. So that's awesome. That's a great answer.
And they're focused and they're pleasant to work with. Please don't tell them all this stuff, because I don't want them to get swelled heads.
That's right.
and we do amazing work because of that. I mean, really quality work, and we all take great pride in that. And that's part of what makes us amazing at what we do.
That's awesome. I could absolutely see that. So within the business, and it sounds like you have a lot of good things happening now. I know this to be true, of course, but you have that with the right personnel in place. When you look back, what would you say has been the biggest challenge you've had to overcome to achieve your business growth?
Aside from the court system, and of course, I don't know if this is news to you, there was a pandemic, which in
I
effect,
heard something about that.
shut down everything for a long,
right.
long time, and we're still sorting that out. Um, um, Business growth, Philadelphia and the surrounding area. By the way, I have offices in Marlton, New Jersey, and in Bala Cynwyd, Pennsylvania, and I practice in all of the counties in New Jersey and all of the counties around Philadelphia. It's an incredibly competitive market. There are a lot of firms that do what I do, and there's a lot of firms that do what I do and don't do it as nearly as well as I do. So to get your name in the mix, to become known, to get the respect of lawyers, judges, adjusters, insurance companies, and to bring in business in light of all of that, given how competitive Philadelphia is. I mean, just watching TV in Philadelphia, there's lots and lots of lawyer commercials and lots of lawyers that specialize in everything. And what distinguishes Rosenberg Law from those is the quality of my staff, the empathy and compassion that we have for our clients, the integrity that we generate in handling cases, and the great results that we get. Juggling all those things is quite a task. It's part of the process, and it's something that we thrive on. And having done this for about 35 years, we're not so bad at it. In fact, we are excellent at it. Let me say it that.
That's right. Nope, that is true. That is definitely true. One thing I think that might have been one thing I didn't realize I share with Mark, and I think this is a piece connecting us here also, is that Mark graduated from Rutgers. So he's a knight. He's a Scarlet Knight. A couple of years before me, but not many actually. So not many.
Thank you.
But yes. So, and what you learn is that going to a school like Rutgers with as many students as there were, and so many personalities and diverse cultures, et cetera, really was a great lesson, a learning for me, just in connectivity of other people and learning how to juggle those other pieces, right? Dealing with all this, you just had to. There was no other option. You weren't surviving in a school that large. So yeah, that was an early lesson for me. So I appreciate that. And actually, it leads me to another thing. So speaking of lessons, what is one lesson your career has taught you? Well, we have one lesson your career has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in life.
The largest lesson would be treat people with respect, listen carefully to what people are saying, bury your ego enough so that you understand who you're talking to, what they're saying, what they're truly trying to get across. With that kind of empathy, you build rapport with people, you develop awareness of amazing little details that may not seem like anything until they're everything. So listen respectfully, consider your audience, consider their plight, and do the best you can to put your client in a position to succeed as much as possible.
That's excellent. I think that could go across just about any industry and just in general in life. So that's a great lesson. Right. I appreciate that. Yep. I appreciate that. Mark, that was it for the questions. I appreciate you being on. It was an absolute pleasure learning a bit more about you, learning more about your insights and how you do things. As you know, as our relationship has been, as a client of Kakua, I've known you are without question an outstanding attorney just from what we know about you and other people. And you are an outstanding person. You are great. We love having you as a client. So it's always fun. It's always good. You're a wealth of information. And honestly, you're just a pleasure to work with. So I can see where clients would feel that way, especially in times of, at their point where they need you. It's not necessarily a fun time, right? So the fact that you're there and you are who you are is a true blessing for them. So I'm going to leave with one last thing before we fully cut off. How can anyone who might happen to, unfortunately, need you, how can they get in touch? Or what's the best way? If you have social media, website, email, whatever you want to put out there.
So my website is plaintiff.com, plaintiff.com. Our phone number is 610-667-1500. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. Find me. The other thing I'd like to point out is I work on what's called a contingency fee. So to talk to me doesn't cost anybody anything. I'm excited to forge relationships because you never know where they're going to lead. And because I'm not running a clock and sending you a bill, which will never happen, I only get paid when I win the case. There should be no nervousness on the part of anybody contacting me, and I would love the opportunity.
Mark, that's great information. I'm glad you mentioned that because, yeah, that is exactly right. Mark is a pleasure to speak with, and the fact that you can speak with him without being, without the clock being hit is excellent. So, yes, if you feel any questions, any need, desire, what have you, please reach out to Mark and his team, Rosenberg Law. Mark, it's an absolute pleasure having you today. Thank you so much for being part of 5 Question Friday. Again,
Joe, can I ask you a question?
Need him? Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So if we graduated Rutgers at the same time, why is my hair so gray and yours so not?
I remember I'm in IT now, so filters work. So
Well handled, Joe. I want to say that dealing with Kakua has always been a pleasure. I've been a part of your team for a long, long time. You guys are also amazing, and I appreciate the opportunity today to talk with you.
Mark, thank you. That was very unsolicited and appreciated. Thank you so much. Because yes, as we are part of your team, that makes this reciprocal. So again, Mark, thank you so much for being here today, man. It was an absolute pleasure. Everyone, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. And remember, tune into the next 5 Question Friday. Take care.